talk of campaign finance reform has finally come to the Senate, with Harry Reid, of all people, pointing out the major problem with the electoral system. Take it away, Harry.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I'm here because the flood of dark money into our nation's political system posed the greatest threat to our democracy that I've witnessed during my tenure in public service. The decision of the Supreme Court have left the American people with a status quo in which one side's billionaires are pitted against the other side's billionaires. So we sit here today with a simple choice. We can keep the status quo and argue all day and all night about whose billionaires are right and whose billionaires are wrong. Or we can work together to change the system, to get this shady money out of our democracy and restore the basic principles of one American, one vote.
All right, so it's kind of a shame that Harry Reid sounds so incredibly boring when he talks, because everything he said is pretty much, he nails it. I mean, that's what America is all about now, billionaires versus billionaires. Now, remember that study that confirmed that regular people are pretty much ignored by our politicians in favor of the wealthy? Now, also, there was a study that came out a long time ago that said that politicians spend at least 4 hours a day on the phone begging rich people for money. Also, over 90% of the elections in the Senate are determined by who spent the most money. All of this is pretty common sense to us. We've watched this. We're informed. We're plugged in, so that's why we know all this. So what's amazing is that it took this long for a hearing on this issue and on an amendment to get money out of politics because of how corrupt our system is. Now, I wanted to get your opinion on this. Are we starting to see the mood in Washington change in favor of getting money out of politics, or is this just more show? Is this show from Harry?
Well, first thing we have to point out is this is the Wolfpack hearing, because it only happened right after Vermont passed a resolution, which was lobbied in part by Wolfpack. So congratulations, Jane Huger and the TYT Network for setting up Wolfpack. It was awesome. Secondly, Harry Reid is trying to win elections. Like, let's keep it real. Like, I don't know whether he believes this in his heart. I think he might actually believe that because it's so obvious money is corrupting in politics in his heart. But this is the same guy who, I think it was weeks, if not maybe a month and a half ago, who said the Koch brothers are totally evil. But Sheldon Adelson, the guy who owns casinos in my state, to go back to our other story, people defending the guys in their own states, he's totally cool and he's completely different from them. So yeah, I think this is a little political convenience on a pretty easy issue, but having these hearings might have the unintentional effect of actually inspiring more people to seek out change.
Sean brought up kind of my question. This is the same guy who just a few weeks ago defended billionaire Sheldon Adelson and all of his money into politics. So I don't know. I can't get a read on him on this issue, man. Because I mean, he's being honest here. He's not just demonizing the right. He's pointing out it's our billionaires versus their billionaires, and even when our guys are fighting for us, that's not democracy. You know, we brought this up several times on this show. Even whenever people we agree with abuse the system, we're still not in favor of the system being abused. You know, we want to have legitimate disagreements and legitimate conversations, and you can't have that whenever votes are just purchased. You know, it may happen every so often that they're purchased on the right side of things, but that's even whenever it does work out in that situation, that's not what you want. That's not ideal. That's just an example of, you know, a bad system occasionally doing the right thing. So I don't know. I mean, he's right. Like, obviously, I can't disagree with him, and so I guess that's the important thing here, and that, you know, maybe some change will come out of this. It's good that the ball has been rolling, and you know, and bravo to Wolfpack for whatever part they played in all this. I don't know that I respect Harry Reid anymore for this, but hey, you know, I mean, it's good things are possibly happening at least.
Yeah, see, this is why I asked. I mean, you guys were great pointing out the Sheldon Adelson thing. Like, yeah, oh, my billionaire is awesome, by the way, and I completely support what he's doing, absolutely. But the Koch brothers, your billionaires are terrible. But at least I think he knows and points out his own hypocrisy on this with what he had said. You know, like, yeah, it's not a good system. My billionaires versus your billionaires, that is not democracy. That is not what we want. So, you know, I think I got to give him credit for pointing out you know, his hypocrisy on that whole thing, and just saying, like, this is the problem with America. So as far as seeing the mood in Washington change, I think it still needs a little bit more to go. Which is why I'm so glad to see Wolfpack continue to do the work that it's doing. You know, the volunteers and stuff. You guys are fucking awesome for just working so hard. I mean, you know, it's so much work to try and do what you guys are doing. So, and hey, you know, it got Vermont to pass a resolution. I hope more states follow. I know there's a group in my state, Wolfpack, Michigan, that's, you know, doing a lot of work, but it's really hard here because we're, you know, we got hit by the Tea Party tide, so we're like completely Republican all across the board, which, you know, it's sort of unfortunate because our Republicans are more of the very, very pro-corporate variety, which not all conservatives and not all Republicans are. And I think we have to remember that, like, this is a thing that we can, it's an issue that we can reach across the aisle and find common ground with. No matter your political ideology, you can find ground with people and say that we don't like corruption, we want money out of politics. Go ahead, Sean.
I also have one other point, and it's about like Harry Reid specifically and Mitch McConnell and like the leadership of the parties. Under the old system, the pre-Citizens United system, there was tremendous amount of money in politics. Like let's not pretend this is something that just occurred, right? We all know this. But the money
in politics for like for ever since we had a political system. So,
right. But the money in politics was concentrated before because of the ways they wrote the rules. I mean, you have corrupt politicians regulating their own corruption beforehand, which is why an amendment like clearly separating the two issues would be a good thing. So like Citizens United took money away from, or these rulings took power away from the central parties. Like I heard an amazing statistic that in 2010 Michelle Bachmann raised more money than John Boehner, who's going to be the Speaker of the House. Like, that's unheard of that a random congresswoman did that because the money is more scattered now. So so you have to be a little careful about them trying to get subtle changes that are actually to go back to the old system where it's just the parties controlling everything. And like we have to go for the full change. Like, don't go for a half measure.
Right.
Because that's incredibly self-serving to people in leadership.
Right. You can't go half in. You got to go all the way if you're going to get this done. Absolutely. And,
also,
you know, that's like I said.
Also, Jeff said half in.
You got to go all the way in, and that's what the Wolfpack Amendment does. So, I mean, I know that everybody watching this now on the live stream already is involved in Wolfpack, or if you're not, you should be. But if anybody is out there that's watching, you know, just on YouTube in general, you should get involved in this because it really is pretty much the only hope of getting our actual democracy back.